Everything is the same in part 3. We have a sample mean of 1.7. We have a standard deviation, whether you treat it as the population standard deviation or the sample standard deviation. For our purposes, it doesn't matter. I'm going to write population standard deviation equals 1.5 now. Look how big that standard deviation is. A lot of variability there in those original ratings. Remember, that's X. We're interested now in a group of values. In fact, we have 33 ratings. So we want to build a 95% confidence interval to estimate the true mean. So we need our point estimate, which is the sample mean, plus or minus the critical value, which is going to be 2 for a 95% confidence interval. Then we're going to multiply it by the standard error, which is given like this. That's the population standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. So 1.7 again is the sample mean plus or minus 2. That's the critical value. That's the value that gives you 95% confidence without 2 standard deviations to the right, 2 standard deviations to the left. In fact, here we're talking about standard errors. Okay? 2 times the population standard deviation, which is now 1.5, divided by the square root of a sample size 33. So let's simplify this. We get 1.7 plus or minus 2. Leave that 2 for a moment. 2 times 0.26. Simplify the right side to get the entire margin of error. We get 1.7 plus or minus 0.52 stars. Now it's a half a star over there on the margin of error. We'll consider the relationship between the standard deviation in part 1, part 2, and part 3, and the width of the interval in part 1, part 2, and part 3. So here I'm gonna I'm not gonna do any cheating or rounding. All right. So I'm gonna plug in the calculator 1.7, and then I'm gonna subtract 0.52, that 1.18. Yeah, I know that 1.18. That's the lower bound, and then I'm gonna put the Greek letter mu because that's what we're estimating, and then the upper bound is, I don't even need the calculator for this one, 2.32. So we're 95% confident that his true average rating is between 1.18 and 2.32 stars.